Get ready for spoilers. Trademark, hashtag, spoiler zone. Welcome to it, because we're here.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, you've seen our lot review, but now we're going to give you a lot more.
Snare, snare, cymbal crash.
Well done. Well played.
But yeah, we're back at Josh's place, and we're going to go into some more details, because obviously I think we all have a lot more to say about this. I would call it a triumph of human achievement and art, and maybe like the pinnacle of just like all of humanity, like everything we've been moving towards. I got to see robots punching each other for like 2 hours, and I'm like, this is it. Like, I'm good here.
I think you're kicking us off, so continue.
Okay, so I came into this with the expectation of not what the first Pacific Rim was going to be. Like, I knew we weren't going to get that with this, so I was like, all I want is satisfying robot fighting, because I'm a huge robot fan. I've seen a ton of robot media and movies and shows and animation over the years, but I've had to wait for decades now through terrible Transformers movies and all these like robot movies where you don't really get to see the robots do anything. It was like a Godzilla movie. You go to a Godzilla movie because you want to see Godzilla. You gotta have a reason for him to show up. You have to have things that happen, but he's why you're there.
Yeah, completely agree. I would say you touch on it greatly with the Godzilla reference, because as I'm watching it, I'm thinking of how all the Godzilla movies I watched when I was little, all the Japanese ones, Tokyo, they're all just referenced in the style it's done, where it's like opening sequence, you establish this, then we come back, humans trying to figure things out, how to adapt, and then a new thing is added, and then you have battles upon battles, and then you're trying to figure that out, and then another battle, and it's like you don't care about how the plot is going. You're just like, let's get the robots back out there, let's see how they're going to combat this. And I'm going to drop the first spoiler here, because the Charlie Day twist in this movie was incredible. I thought that was just fantastic, because in the first one, all you had was your human piloting the Jaegers, and that's all you got. But in this one, you had a human bad guy.
I like that he was the bad guy. That until through the movie, they didn't like, oh, we fixed you, Charlie Day, and now you're, oops, it was just
there were teases of redemption, but they stayed the course. And I think the teases of redemption were done well in that they kept you like, all right, good. Like, it was just very, I think you say it best when you said satisfying multiple times. Everything about this movie was satisfying.
I love the first one. You didn't quite have I was perfectly fine with the story, the battles. I think back to Josh's favorite movie, 97 Godzilla, how like people complained that like when he finally showed up, you didn't see him because it was like pitch black out, it's raining, and they're like, what the heck here? We want to see it. And in the first one, I thought the battles were great, and people didn't. Some people were like, no, it was too dark, and then the weather, and blah, blah, blah. I didn't know that. I love the first movie. I think that the story wasn't like, well, it was complete with itself. Like, if we didn't get a sequel, it would have been like, okay, happy ending. It would have been fine. But like when I went and saw the film, I was like, ooh, I kind of hope that there's enough popularity where we get something else, and then you start wondering, like, all right, if they do announce it, which they did, then you're wondering, like, how are they going to...
How does the rim get open? Like, how does this
whether it's that, or it's... Because I remember them teasing about, like, well, did the Jaeger that they used in the first movie to seal the rift, was it completely destroyed? Like, that was the question mark. People were like... They said that if they... Like, a story idea was that you're going to see a combination of Kaiju and Jaeger, which you did. Yeah, but it was from a completely different aspect. It wasn't. I mean, in a sense, because of the Charlie Day twist, it was because of the creators, but it was more human-esque. Sorry, I should have said spoilers first.
Oh, we're in the spoilers. We're in the spoilers.
In this one, I feel like every Jaeger had a chance to shine. They all went down, but they each got to do like a special move, a cool dodge, something interesting. Like you got to see them show their stuff enough that by the time they got taken out, you were like, all right, well, you put up a good fight. Like we got to see you do what you do, and that was like.
They did it in phases too, which I thought was incredible. So you had the first one with the whip, and it was like, we're gonna show how stupid you are. Like you're gonna go at him,
making the mistake, jumping
you're gonna go at him, and you're gonna be stupid, and you're gonna cost, spoiler again, the life of one of these pilots.
Was that a little?
It was a little dark,
but also a little like,
especially because he's a kiddo.
Yeah, and it was like, he's dead. Back to it. Like it felt a little bit like, oh, we gotta like kill
That was one of my
somebody.
nitpicks.
That's one of the things I was saying was the pacing was just off at times, and it was
That
like
was
certain things didn't get enough respect that it probably should have. But yeah, like during certain times, it felt like it was either when there was a lot of kind of downtime, like when they were sort of going through the plot, but they went really fast with it. And I was like, why? There's nothing really going on. It's not too intense. And then at the times that it was intense, when usually something happens, like the kid dies, you want to kind of like take some time out and do like a little mini in memoriam or whatever during that time. And there didn't feel like there was.
One thing that made me really happy was, I don't know if did anybody else catch the cameo in this, a certain statue cameo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gundam. Yep.
There's a Gundam in this movie. In a way that summed up everything about this, because when that showed up, I'm like, that they know what this is. They know that this is a movie for people who like robots. They like robot fights. They get it, and that was just a little nod to like, yeah, we know. Like, this is the giant robot movie that you've been wanting to see. The Del Toro movie had very explicit nods to like giant robot history with like rocket punches, and there was a lot of it that was it felt very like lifted but with love from other like robot franchises. Whereas this one was more just, we're going to take what the first movie did and just build on it. This is a world that's been set up, and we're going to roll with it.
Yeah, and I think we've already talked about it, like, expand it. Expand it. They slightly touched on the underground world of things where people, I mean, Scrapper was my favorite, I think. Scrapper was my favorite. That pieced together Jaeger that was a one pilot, which, again, you want to talk about an evolution from the first movie. There's one thing, I know we've discussed this, like, what's one thing you want to see in the second movie? I want to see one that's sleeker, that can be piloted by just one person. And it wasn't the sleeker one, it was the hunky junky one that this girl put together. And I think that was awesome, because with its size, you could do so many fun things with it.
I was expecting more of these dark undertones that didn't really happen. It was a more lighthearted movie, but I really enjoyed the approach of, the slow kind of build up where they showed you a John Boyega, and he was going through his life after the war, and you see kind of how like he went underground, and all these things were happening with all these different like little modded Jaegers and little scrap Jaegers. Scrapper, you want to talk about TV shows, a spin-off, set it right in the world where in between that time in between Pacific Rim and Pacific Rim Uprising, you can have little Jaeger fights where there's people that bet money, or there's some type of
Let's not get into Real Steel. Let's not get into Real Steel. Yeah, let's not get Hugh Jackman to do Real Steel again. And I think sometimes movies can either be too fast or too slow. And I know I saw a review for this one saying it was too fast, but sometimes you need to be a little faster, because if you dwell on that, too much, then you're like the first one where there were some times where you're like, all right, let's get back to the robots. Like, let's get back to the reason I'm here. So the fact that they had that consistent pacing throughout this movie, the consistent tone throughout this movie, kudos to the director and that whole team to like know what they were doing and sticking to it beginning to end, because when it was, you know, somewhat heavy, it was that somewhat heavy but then move forward.
Josh, you said this movie was at times too fast. Would you say it ever got too furious?
Oh snap.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, what was your favorite moment? What was your favorite one of the movie?
My favorite moment, when John Boyega got pelted in the face with a snowball.
Good moment.
It was entertaining. No, in all seriousness,
That's the biggest spoiler of this movie.
probably, honestly, sorry for the spoilers. Honestly, like you were saying earlier, Dave, I really liked that all the Jaegers got a chance to kind of shine. I don't remember what the orange one was called. I want to say Sabretooth, but I don't think it is. I'm thinking of X-Men now.
Saber something.
Saber Athena?
Saber Athena.
Saber Athena.
Are you talking about the best robot in the movie?
It was.
Oh, we already got an opinion.
That was my favorite one. That was my favorite one. It was agile, it was quick, but you know, even seeing the other ones too, it was cool because everyone kind of got a moment to shine.
Steve?
Favorite moment? Probably after the three merged into the one kaiju, and then they just all went like balls out on it.
That was good.
And then
I'm gonna say my favorite moment coincides with my favorite Jaeger, and not as much as I've talked up. Scrapper, you're amazing, but the three.
the one with the wrecking ball hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was surprised and excited to see that it had a seat that went down to shoot off, like basically.
Yeah, it was a cool moment.
Yes, and it's shooting off from the front. Mm-hmm. But then all of a sudden, oh no, we have to go to the back. And it switches to the back, and the cannons turn to the back so beautifully and cool. And I felt like, I don't know, just like a 10-year-old watching his favorite cartoon in which a sequence happens that's so cool, where I was like, oh my gosh, like, forget the wrecking ball, just keep shooting from your chest, like keep shooting from your belly, whatever, like the beer gut shot, whatever you call it. Like,
glad you mentioned that, because that was one of my favorite moments.
Okay.
Among several, but yeah, that was just for mine. It was a very small thing, but like Saber Athena, when they showed that robot, I was like, oh, it's great design. I love that it was more Japanese than a lot of the other ones. It had more like thin things going on and just kind of a sleek look.
Yeah.
yeah.
And getting to see that in action towards the end of the movie, it was just a small moment, but it jumps over, it just does like a move. Mm-hmm. It was what I've been waiting to see for so long in a movie like this, is just an amazing looking robot do something amazing and look amazing doing it. And then it immediately got destroyed right after that. I remember thinking, I was like, oh, that was awesome. Oh no! Like, oh, no more special moves from that. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But again,
fun's over.
Yeah, fun's over forever. But at least again, and they gave every robot like a chest move, a sword move, a whip move, one moment to really do their thing.
And they went out in style. Every kill was like super bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the way your girl went out, the way it just got like literally torn in half, pieces like thrown apart. Like, I like that, because I'll touch on a little bit from the first one when you talk about like oh, we didn't get to see the first 3 in action or whatever as much. It's because sometimes you just have to show how bad the bad guy is.
Yes.
And that's one thing I liked about the first one is it showed how bad he was, but it also showed how well Mako and Charlie Hunnam's character, like how well they melded together. This one showed how elite and destructive that put together monster was, that it just decimated. And, you know, it literally took them all out. Even Gypsy Avenger at the end was trashed. And right before that incredible snowball fight, you saw Scrapper was destroyed.
Yep.
Great snowball war.
So when they come out with number 3, there's going to be Gypsy Revenge, or I mean whatever names they come up with next. Those are going to be escalated. So yeah, that's
Cooler Saber Athena, hopefully. Something.
Can you
like
get cooler than that?
Upgrades, yeah.
I don't know, but hopefully.
All I know is that
They have to go Voltron in the next one. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
okay, well that segues into my next. What was missing from this movie? That's what was missing, because in the trailer they show the monster like merging
Piecing
Formula
together.
One, and I'm like, this movie had better have a sequence where several robots make a bigger robot, and they've had 10 years of Jaeger whatever to like figure this out. Please let this happen, because that's like the next step of like, oh, that monster's too big. Let's join together and make a bigger robot. But like the sequel, you know, they have time. They can do that in part 3.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yes, but that's the one thing that I was really, really hoping for that just didn't happen.
This kind of got to me because I love Charlie Day, but there was something about him turning into a villain, and I don't think it's because I'm biased because I love him. I wanted to see him be a good villain. There's something about he's not turning full villain, and even the conflict of him being taken over by I'm sorry, what are they called? The precursors, right?
Precursors, yeah.
Cool title.
You don't really see that struggle going on in his mind or anything in this movie. It's just kind of like very bland.
This is there, yeah.
I want to see Charlie Day go full Charlie Day and go crazy.
Came close
being a
at the
villain.
end. He came close in that
That's
end
my
sequence.
only criticism
Yeah.
in terms of that. That's what I
Okay.
felt was missing. But like I said, if it's a bridge, it's a bridge. I get it.
Yeah.
That would be interesting if in the third movie he was just frothing at the mouth, maniacal.
Like all Pepe
like,
Sylvia with like some
just-
outlines,
yeah.
some red lines, and
Completely, yeah.
board. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I think was missing, and that's the big thing where, because I wanted to like hate him or something. I couldn't get into it that much because I was just like,
Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. This is a really fun thing that we've been wanting to do for a while. I don't know. It was your idea, I think.
Yeah.
To just like
Because of a pun.
because of the pun of the title
Because of the pun on the title.
that made this exist.
Yep.